Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to your astrological forecast for the upcoming week. This one will be predominantly focused on the new moon in Cancer, which we'll be experiencing on Wednesday. But before we get there, of course, I'm going to name everything that's going to be taking place prior to that, all the aspects, and then name whatever is going to be happening after that. And also, before I go any further, I just would like to mention that I am currently running my 25% of all my services, my seasonal sale. It will be running for the entire Cancer season, which we just entered into last night, solstice. We are in the new season, astrologically and naturally, entered into summer here in the northern hemisphere, winter in the summer hemisphere. So in honor of this massive change, and also with everything else that's going on in the sky, I am running my 25% sale. So if you would like any guidance or whatever kind of astrological reading, then don't hesitate to reach out and we can figure something out. So without further ado, we're just going to dive in. But of course, I'm going to open this space and calling on my higher self, spirit guides, angelic team, ascended masters, also starseed family and ancestors, because we are in Cancer season after all, Akashic record keepers, my astrological team, and all the beings of light that wish to be present for this recording. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. Thank you everyone who is watching. And as I already mentioned, we only just moved into the Cancer season. Sun entered into the sign of Cancer last night. For me here in Bulgaria, it was early hours this morning. And that was happening with Moon already in the sign of Taurus, which is the sign of her exaltation. So we're creating a foundation for the new identity that we are rebirthing. We are birthing a new version of ourselves. So then today on Saturday, when I'm recording this, Saturday the 21st, we already experienced Mercury made a trine to the North Node, and we know Mercury and North Node had triple conjunction in March and April because Mercury was retrograde. So now this is the first trine since their conjunction. The most recent one was in April 14th, I believe. Let me have a look. April 10th. April 10th was the final one. And the first trine is always about Leo, which is about creation. What are we creating? Mercury being a sign of Cancer, North Node being a sign of Pisces. We are creating a new sense of self, which is in connection with our spiritual essence, our higher self. Then tomorrow, Sunday, we are going to experience Mars is going to make a sextile to Jupiter. And their last conjunction took place in August 2024 in a sign of Gemini. Then also tomorrow on Sunday the 22nd, we'll experience Sun making a square to Saturn, which of course will be very active for this upcoming new moon in Cancer. It will be squared by both Saturn and Neptune. And then on the same day, on the same day or on Monday morning, for me here in Bulgaria, already Monday morning, Moon will move into a sign of Gemini. So we will enter into a new week, the week of the new moon in Cancer with Moon in Gemini, which is always about the choice. You are choosing, I am choosing, we are all choosing who we want to become in this next cycle of evolution, because who we were is no longer available. We outgrown that. So yeah, and then on Monday, the 23rd, Sun will make an exact square to Neptune. So as I mentioned, the square from Saturn and Neptune will be fully active for this new moon in Cancer. So there is a lot of pressure for this new direction, for this new sense of identity. In a sense, we don't have a choice. We have a choice to choose. We have a choice in choosing who we want to become, but we don't have a choice with regards to we have to change. And this is individual and collective energy. Because obviously Sun being the luminary, that's your purpose, that's your true essence, and Saturn being the outer planet, and Neptune is one of the evolutionary planets. So yeah, this is affecting everyone. All right, then Tuesday the 24th, we'll experience, and I forgot to mention, of course, the last conjunction between Sun and Saturn took place on March 12th, which was right before the eclipse in Virgo, and the last conjunction between Sun and Neptune took place on March 19th, which was kind of in between the eclipses, but closer to the lunar eclipse in Virgo, which took place on March 14th. So Tuesday the 24th, which is the day before the new moon, we are experiencing Mercury making a square to Chiron, 26 degrees, 36 minutes of Mercury in Cancer, Chiron in Aries, and the last conjunction took place on 6th of May, also in Aries, of course, 24 degrees, 25 minutes. And then on the same day, on Tuesday the 24th, Sun will conjunct Jupiter. So this is a very auspicious conjunction because of Sun being the luminary, obviously, and Jupiter being, in a traditional astrology, one of the benefactors. But this is all about expanding our consciousness. So this is not just about things are going to rain on our head and jolly good, but this is about us being illuminating with regards to we are ready for this change. We are ready for this change, and yes, Jupiter is definitely going to support it, but it's going to show us where we're playing small. So the Sun conjunct Jupiter, again, this is going to be an aspect that's going to be fully present, fully active for this upcoming new moon in Cancer. Jupiter is going to be conjuncting it. And Jupiter is currently ruled by the moon, of course, because Jupiter is in Cancer until the end of June 2026, just recently moved there on the 9th of June. So yes, so the last conjunction between the two took place in Taurus. So they actually did not have a conjunction in Gemini. They had a last conjunction on May 18th in the sign of Taurus, and now this one is in the sign of Cancer. 3 degrees, 22 minutes. 3 degrees is all about creation, collaboration. 22, master number frequency, also the build of the new structure, number 4, right? And then on Tuesday, the 24th, or for some of us here in Europe, already Wednesday, the 25th, Moon will move into the sign of Cancer, which is the sign of her rulership. And then in the early hours or later hours of morning of Wednesday, the 25th, depending where you are in the world, once again, we will experience the new moon in Cancer on 4 degrees and 8 minutes of Cancer, which again is interesting because these are all Saturnian numbers, 4 and 8. And 4, we know in astrology, is the Cancer number, right? The house associated with the Cancer in a traditional, in a natural hot zodiac, yes. All right, so that will be the only major thing that will be happening. Obviously, Moon will be making a lot of things like the square to Saturn, square to Neptune, conjunction to Jupiter, because this is all present for this new Moon. Sun conjunct, Moon. That's obviously the new Moon, and then Moon will also sextile Mars. So this is all happening on Wednesday, the 25th. So Moon is very active. This will be a very active Moon, but there are no other like major aspect happening on that day apart from my own lunar return happening on that day. All right. Then Thursday, the 26th, Mercury will make a sextile to Uranus. The last conjunction took place on May 24th this year in the sign of Taurus, 27 degrees of Taurus, 42 minutes. So yeah, so this is the first sextile since the conjunction, which is all about Taurus, story and flavor, which is all about creating foundation of who we becoming. Why? Because Uranus being in Taurus, our old foundation is becoming redundant. It's no longer going to help us to survive technically, because with the Taurus, it is the baseline of Taurus is the survival essential needs. Our essential needs are not being met because our needs changed, because we've changed. So everything else has to change. So we have to identify, who am I becoming? Who am I? So with this Mercury being a sign of Cancer still at this stage, Thursday 26, we are really asking some deep questions, like who am I becoming? And this is obviously all the territory that Mars went through 3 times actually, because of his recent retrograde in the sign of Cancer. So Mercury is picking up on that energy, like we were all inner focused, in the early months of 2025. When Mars was retrograde back in the sign of Cancer, we were focused inwardly to reevaluate, who am I? Where am I going? Why am I here? Right? Because after Cancer, we have Leo, which is the purpose. So yes, so Mercury is now making us to ask this deep question, which is of course enforced and encouraged and challenged by Saturn, Neptune squaring this moon, and conjunct by Jupiter, which, like I already mentioned, is all about expansion of who we're becoming, because we're ready. So yeah, so Mercury is making a sextile. So Thursday is a very busy day actually. Mercury is making a sextile to Uranus. As I mentioned, this is the first sextile foundation, 29 degrees, 29 minutes. Let's not forget that, 11:11. Then right after that, Sun will be making a sextile to Mars, 5 degrees, 40 minutes. Yes, Mars recently moved into sign of Virgo, will remain there for a while, I think 2 months. And this is last conjunction between Sun and Mars took place on November 18, 2023, which was connected to the it was Scorpio. It happened in the Scorpio season, obviously, but it was around the time of the Scorpio new moon, if I remember correctly as well. So then also still on the same day, Thursday the 26th, Venus will make a sextile to North Node. Venus currently being a sign of Taurus, the sign of her rulership. And Venus is making a sextile to North Node, trine to South Node, 21 degrees, 22 minutes. This is a Capricornian decan, of course, already for Venus, for North Node, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpionic decan. And this is all about Venus making a sextile to North Node. Again, first sextile since their conjunction. Venus also had a triple conjunction with the North Node, by the way. Yeah, that was throughout February, February and April. The last one was on April 23rd. So this is the first sextile. Yeah, first sextile with the North Node, again, the foundation. What are we creating? We are creating a new foundation for based on these new needs and values. Venus being a sign of Taurus, very powerful Venus, making us very connected to our sensuality, our needs, our body, right? How does everything feel? 11:11 right here, right now, as I'm speaking this. So yeah, so this is a supportive aspect because it's supporting us in this new direction, North Node in Pisces, of living a life of a deeper meaning, which is aligned with who you really are as a soul, as a spirit. All right, and then also on Thursday, the 26th, we have Mercury moving into the sign of Leo. Now, Mercury will remain in a sign of Leo for a long time until September 2nd, 2025, which is right before the eclipse season kicks off. Because Mercury will be retrograde between July 18 and August 11th. So Mercury will station retrograde right after the full moon in Capricorn and before the new moon in Leo, I believe. And then it will station direct right after the full moon in Aquarius, which is on August 9th. So yeah, so Mercury entering Leo, where Mercury will remain until September 2nd, 2025. And that's the day where Mercury will move into the sign of his second sign of rulership, which is Virgo, and traditional exaltation as well. All right, so gonna have Mercury helping us to rediscover this purpose, because also not the most recent retrograde of Venus, because that one was, of course, from Aries to Pisces back to Aries, but 2 years ago the retrograde Venus was in the sign of Leo, and also Mars started his last retrograde from the sign of Leo, and now Mercury is having a retrograde in the sign of Leo for a very long time. So this is all helping us to reevaluate our authentic expression and our sense of purpose. It's not yet retrograde, just entering in. It's actually not even entering his shadow just yet. That's gonna be happening on Sunday. Okay, so Mercury entering Leo still on Thursday, and then on Friday the 27th, Moon will move into the sign of Leo. So of course, Moon will conjunct Mercury right off the bat. First aspect Moon will make. And then also on the same day, we'll have Sun trine in Vesta, Mars sextile in Vesta, and Mercury, this is already moving into Saturday the 28th. Mercury will make a trine to Saturn. This is from the sign of Leo. Their most recent conjunction took place on February 25th, 2025 in the Pisces. Mercury only conjuncted Saturn once, unlike Venus. Venus did three conjunction to Saturn. So yes, so this is a first trine, which is again about creation, Leo, Mercury already being in the sign of Leo. And then on Saturday, the 28th, Mercury will also trine Neptune. So this is on 2 degrees 10 minutes, Mercury, Leo, Neptune obviously being in the sign of Aries at the moment, also their first trine. However, Mercury and Neptune had 3 conjunctions. 2 of them were in the sign of Pisces on the 2nd of March, 29th of March, which was the new moon solar eclipse in Aries, the final one. And then the last one was on 16th of April, which was the first one in a sign of Aries. So this is once again the first trine since that conjunction in April. And then we will end the week with Mercury making an opposition to Pluto. They also had 3 aspects. I think it was sextile, right? Sextile from Aries to Aquarius. Yeah, three sextiles recently when Mercury was retrograde. So this is an opposition. And this is 3 degrees 11 minutes of Aquarius, and their last conjunction happened on 29th of January 2025, which was the Chinese New Year. That was the day, and it was actually the full moon in Aquarius as well. Full moon in Aquarius, the beginning of the new lunar year, which is the one we are at the moment, which is this wood snake, right? Shedding of the old skin. So this opposition is again reactivating the energy that we experience with the Mars-Pluto opposition, which also happened 3 times, which is the balancing the old version of ourselves with the new version of ourselves, because Pluto, the evolution. And now Pluto obviously being retrograde is making us to accelerate this process. And Mercury, it's all about us having the awareness. So Mercury going retrograde, next month is going to help us to work on that. And later on the same day, or for most of us already Monday morning, Mercury will enter his shadow, because Mercury is preparing for his retrograde. Mercury will enter his shadow, which is 4 degrees and 15 minutes of Leo. So this is how far Mercury is going to get when he goes retrograde. It's going to retrograde all the way to 4 degrees 15 minutes of Leo. Okay, and then we're going to enter into a last day of June, which was Monday the 30th. with moon. Oh yeah, because I forgot to mention on Sunday the 29th, moon is moving to the sign of Virgo. So again, we are going to be shifting from one week to another in moon in immutable signs, which is again about all these changes that are taking place. So we will end the week and almost, well, technically, yes, we will end the week and we will end the month of June with moon in the sign of Virgo, which is putting things into practical application. And moon will conjunct the south node on Monday the 30th. And then we'll move into the new month, which we will talk about later next time. Okay, so that's technically what's going to be happening next week. And it's connected to this new moon in Cancer, which, like I mentioned, is birthing a new sense of identity. So I'm just going to share the screen and we're going to look at some chart over here. So this new moon we are experiencing at the moment on Wednesday the 25th. For me here in Eastern Europe, this is taking place at 10:31 a.m. Obviously, depending where you are in the world, that's the time that's happening for you. So this new moon that's happening now, it's resetting the cycle that began on 6th of July. For many people, 5th of July, because I put this in the Eastern European time, and you can see it's right after midnight, early hours in the morning. So for a lot of people, especially in the States, this was still on the 5th of July. So there was last year new moon in Cancer that is being reset now on this 25th of June. So yeah, so at the time, obviously everything was in different places. There was a different energy altogether. Pluto was already in Aquarius retrograde, but everything else was in the different signs. We can see even nodes at the time were still in Aries and Libra. So this was a different reality from the one we are experiencing at the moment. Mars was in the sign of Taurus, closing to Uranus. So there was a closing conjunction. Uranus and Jupiter were in that new phase after the conjunction, and Venus was in a new phase with this moon and sun. And that's interesting because, like I mentioned, Venus is literally a day after this new moon. Venus is making a sextile to North Node, trying to South Node, and the North Node and Venus, they conjuncted 3 times during Venus's retrograde in the sign of, back into the sign of Pisces, like in Pisces, back into Pisces, and then going forward again. So at the time of the new moon in Cancer last year, Venus was in a new phase conjunction with the new moon. So it was technically saying that your values are going to change in the next year. And when your values change, then obviously you will realize that, oh, my needs are not being met, like things are changing over here. I want to relate to this reality in a different way. And this is where we are at now, especially with the sextile to North Node trying to South Node. Like we had this 1 year to learn a lot of things about ourselves, to discover a lot of things about ourselves. And, Mercury at the time in the sign of Leo, as the ruler of Virgo, as the current ruler of the South Node, 5 degrees would say, okay, there will be some changes. There will be some disruption with regards to your authentic expression. Mercury was in opposition with Pluto back then as well. So yeah, there are a lot of things that had taken place in the past year. Neptune was on 29 degrees, the analytic degree of Pisces. North Node, yes, the 10 degrees, which is preparing us for this next year, which is 2026. So yeah, so we can see there are a lot of things going on. This moon obviously was supported by Saturn, at the moment it's being squared. So it's that there are a lot of things we'll be releasing. There are a lot of things we'll be identifying that we need to let go of. And Neptune was gearing up to, already, not yet, because obviously Neptune entered the sign of Aries after the new moon solar eclipse in Aries this year. But Neptune was already on this analytic degree, so almost done, and we know we have one more retrograde this year. So yeah, so here it is, the conception of what is being reset this year. And then, of course, the full moon in Cancer took place in January. This was the first lunation of 2025. For a lot of people, actually, for me at the time in Mexico, it happened on January 13th. This is again Eastern European time. So this was the first lunation of 2025. And it's interesting because next year, 2026, we're going to look at that one as well. We're going to have 3 moons in Cancer, and we're going to begin the year and close the year with the new moon in Cancer in 2026. So this is again telling, how everything is changing. Everything is changing with regards to how we perceive ourselves and how we perceive the humanity, collective consciousness. So yeah, we can see Mars already at the time was retrograde. It was conjunct Moon. Moon was closing to Mars. If you look at it as a a separate object, Moon was closing to Mars, which was saying that yes, this old sense of identity is ending. So we have all these like breadcrumbs, telling us. So full moon, technically, Pluto was still involved. New phase conjunction with the Sun at the time in a Capricorn, obviously. So yeah, and it's 23 degrees, which is 20 degrees and 5 and 4, 5 and 9 is 14, which is again 5. Yeah, 5, 5. So it's yeah, change is coming. Change is coming. Wait for it. And now is the 4 degrees, which is this new restructuring. Jupiter, obviously, at the time, still in the sign of Gemini. So we had actually this moon still. You can see it was trined by Saturn as well. So this stellium in Pisces was trining this full moon. It was saying like, yeah, there is an illumination of what you've learned since, July last year when we had the new moon. And, note already at this time, this was actually the first lunation because the node shifted on the 11th. So this was the first lunation with nodes in Pisces and Virgo, first lunation. And the north node in Pisces was trining both Mars and the moon. So there was a lot of support. We can see it. We had a kite in the sky at the time. So yeah, but there is that square from Jupiter, square between Jupiter and Venus. And yeah, Venus, we remember Venus was the one that was in the new phase conjunction, right here. So yeah, Venus here is squaring Jupiter. The old story has to end. We have to choose something new, right? Yeah, of course, Mercury in Capricorn is the restructuring of the program, the number 7, which is the Libra, the Libra number. Capricornian deacon still like things have to be balanced. We are balancing the old karma because we're here to do different things now. We're not here just to be stuck in the old loop. Okay, and this is then the new moon, which we're gonna focus on more closely. And like I already mentioned, we're going to enter into 2026 with new moon in Cancer again. At the time, we still will have Saturn and Neptune, both in the sign of Pisces. Neptune is going to move into the sign of Aries later on that month. And yeah, Uranus is back in Taurus at this stage. So yeah, so this is something for the future to look at. But, we can see already Pluto still in Aquarius direct at that time. So yeah, and Mars will be conjunct the Sun. Mars will be conjunct the Sun and Jupiter will be conjunct the Moon. And yeah, Mars and Jupiter will have the opposition. So yeah, so we will be seeing more about what it requires for us, like what action, Mars being a sign of Capricorn, becoming your own creator, becoming your own authority. Mars in Capricorn is an exaltation, right? And this is a second decan and Taurus degree, second decan, and Taurus degree, 14 degrees. And again, number 5, change. So we are going to be learning, how to take responsibility for our life, how to take charge of our life. So as I said, this is all about future, but we have the mystical triangle here as well, which is very supportive aspect. And yeah, and then the full moon in, full moon, that was the full moon, the new moon. Did I say new moon? We're going to enter into 2026, with the full moon in Cancer, full moon. Obviously now we're experiencing the new moon. We're going to enter into 2026 with the full moon in Cancer. That's why it's the opposition. And then this cycle, which we are birthing now, which we are, seeding, conceiving now, which is reset in last year's cycle. This cycle will be reset on July 14, 2026, which is the new moon in Cancer 2026. We can see Mercury is closing there. But what is the most important thing to know about this moon is actually that this will be the final moon with the nodes in Pisces and Virgo, because nodes are going to shift into Aquarius and Leo. And the next lunation, which will then be the full moon, I believe, full moon in Aquarius. Yeah, full moon in Aquarius, July 29th. That lunation will already have the nodes in Aquarius and Leo. So isn't that interesting that we had this new moon? Where was it? Not this one. This one, full moon, full moon. We had the full moon now this year in January 2025. The full moon in Cancer was the first lunation with the nodes in Pisces and Virgo, Cancer, right? Your sense of identity, who we becoming. And the final one, the final lunation with the nodes in Pisces and Virgo will be again Cancer moon. It will be the new moon in Cancer. And of course, by this stage, everybody's in the new signs. If we can see, the Neptune Saturn will be in Aries, Uranus will be back in the sign of Gemini conjunct Mars, new phase conjunction, the choice. And where is Chiron? Will Chiron be already in Taurus? Yeah, 0 degrees. There we go. That will be a completely new reality. So now we go to the present moment, the right here and right now, 25th of June, 2025. So that's twice seven. So the six, that's 13. That's four. Yeah, again, number four. Yeah, we have all these fours, foundation, creating a new structure of reality. We can see the kite is here again. The kite is Uranus making an opposition to Lilith. We know Lilith was very active in the past few lunation, always making some kind of aspects. And Lilith is the shadow, the rejected aspects of ourselves. And this, of course, now it's a Cancer decant. Cancer decant, Gemini degree, of course it is. So yeah, so we are choosing in order for us to heal, because now with Jupiter in Cancer, this is all about healing. This is all about expansion through healing, through acceptance, right? To become whole, because Jupiter, of course, is the traditional ruler of the North Node. Traditional rule of the North Node. So yeah, so with this Lilith, the Lilith, we cannot really expand and evolve and grow any further if we don't accept who we are. Like if I still reject and resist who I am, and I mean resistance, what resist persist, then how can I move any further? It's like when I keep holding on to, all these things that I don't like, that I don't want. It doesn't matter that I don't want them. The universe doesn't hear the not. Like it's like if I'm in resistance to something, then I cannot really go any further. I'm stuck in that loop until I learn to accept it. And then I can change it. Once I learn to accept it, I can change it. But very interesting, we have a lot of inconjunctions here, a lot of blind spots. So we don't see, we don't know where we go in. It's especially now Cancer season. It's all about honing into your intuition, tuning into your intuition, and learning to listen to this inner voice. But that's again, the hardest thing for many people is to just sit in silence and stillness and do nothing, because we are programmed to be always doing something. And when we don't do something, then we feel like that we are like lazy or failing or being loser, or not, like, I don't know, like not showing up for ourselves. But sometimes the showing up for ourselves is actually just sitting silent. So yeah, so with this new moon in Cancer, already mentioned, Jupiter is conjuncting it. For Jupiter, this is actually closing to the new moon, because the old story of who you were is ending. And that was also very clearly shown here during the full moon, the full moon in January, because moon was close to Mars. Sorry, not close. Moon was closing to Mars, and Mars was still within a degree opposition to Pluto. This is that balancing between who we were with who we becoming. So the moon was closing to Mars. Mars is how Pluto acts consciously. And this is the final decan of Cancer, which is the Pisces. And again, the Gemini degree. We are choosing what do we want to release, what version of ourselves we want to release, because I cannot be a beggar and rich person at the same time. I mean, like it's kind of like incompatible. Yeah, you can go from one to the other, but you cannot be both at the same time. So we need to let go of certain version of ourselves in order to make space for this other version of ourselves. If I want to be someone different and have a different experience, then I need to let go of who I was. Like obviously it will still be part of me, but it sometimes the two cannot be how to verbalize it. Like it cannot be the same program running, the same software, because it's like it will cancel each other, right? So yeah, so moon was close into Mars, and here we can see Jupiter, in the sign of Cancer. The story that I believed about myself, it's closing, it's ending, and Mars is in a sign of Virgo. Like we know, Mars is making the exact sextile. We can see 4 degrees. It's happening exactly on the same day. It already actually took place, right? It's happening prior. Mars sextile to Sun. No, it's happening on Thursday, the day after, because Sun is going to apply the sextile. Yeah, Sun is going to apply the sextile, but it's already in operation. We have the 4 degrees, so exact sextile. So this is based on the Sun, even though it is preparing for the next conjunction, but based on the Sun, because Sun is a static object at the sky. This is first sextile, for Mars, even though not by the cycle. When they conjunct last time, obviously their last conjunction was 2023, right? 2023, yeah. So they are preparing for the next conjunction, but with regards to the static object in the sky, we identify this as a foundational sextile, which is the Taurian sextile. So Mars is preparing for his conjunction with South Node. Obviously, it's not going to happen until like actually 1 month from the day I'm recording this, 21st of July. But, and 21 again here, the 21 is the number, tarot is the world card, the maturation, the graduation, the Saturn. So yeah, Mars is going to conjunct South now on 21st of July, so we have time for that. But it's already in the same house, not house, in the same sign, so technically in the same room. Yeah, they're in a closing phase. And this Mars is sextile in this Cancer thing, Cancer new moon, and it's 4 degrees, again, the Saturn number. And it's saying, okay, well, like, what are we applying based on what we've learned? What we've learned, Saturn in Virgo, the humanity, all the lives we lived, it's in a physical incarnation, because Pisces is the spirit. Virgo is bringing the spirit into the form to have a human experience, to walk this planet, right? So with this Mars, being in a sextile with this new moon, exact sextile, it's saying like, what adjustments are you willing to make based on what you learn to become this new version of yourself? Because the old story of you is ending. With the 3 degrees of Jupiter, it's about we need to create a new one. It's necessary because Jupiter is the co-ruler of the North Node on 21 degrees. Because the source graduated from the Piscean age. The source has the totality of understanding of the Piscean age and the after effects, which we are still experiencing in a physical manifestation, the after effects of the Piscean age, the belief systems of the Piscean age, all this lack mentality, the poor me, the victimhood mentality, the not feeling good enough, all these kind of things. That's, we graduated from that. We already mastered that. We played many, many roles in many, many lifetimes, being attuned to that energy, and that's finished now. It's finished now. Now it's saying, okay, now is the time for a new way of experiencing reality, which we can't even comprehend at the moment because it's not yet manifest. So it's like everything you think it is, it is not that. Everything you think it might be, it is probably not that, because it's not yet been manifest. It doesn't exist in a physical form. We just can like tune into it and get like a little bit of here, a little bit of there, which is again this Cancer. We have to feel it somehow. Sometimes, yeah, like I said, many times I fail to verbalize what I feel. I fail to verbalize what I'm tuning into because I don't have the words for it. I just, I know what it feels like. I can like maybe see it with my third eye, but how to put it in words, the language is failing us. And this is my belief system. People don't have to believe that eventually we will not talk. We will not talk verbiage, we will use the voice for like light language and creation, because that's what it was originally meant for. We will be talking telepathically. The verbiage will not be necessary because a lot of things gets lost in translation. There is a lot of misunderstanding because of the language, because of the Mercury, because being stuck with the left brain, right? Like trying to understand things. But when the brain tries to understand it, it's replicating the past script. So Mercury being the new phase with this moon, trining this Lilith, and sextile in Uranus, almost exact. The exact sextile is obviously the following day on the 29 degrees, 29 minutes, which is again the first sextile. I already mentioned that the foundational sextile, the Taurus, what are we creating? A new foundation of your being, a new foundation for human collective consciousness as a consciousness, as a human family that is based on intuition, feeling, tuning into things, identifying things in a different way, which are felt. They don't necessarily have to be understood because, again, the brain, the logical mind, is the archive of the past. I cannot understand something which is future oriented. That's why Mercury is exalted in Aquarius. You cannot understand it. You can tune into it, tap into it. You can, like the resonance is either there or it isn't, but you don't have an explanation. How many times it happened in your life where you were like, I can't explain it. I can't explain it why I resonate with this. I can't explain it why I feel attracted to this. I can't explain it why I like it. I can't explain it. It's just, it is what it is, right? So yeah, so with the Mercury on these final degrees, Piscean Decan, and this is a Cancer degree, 28 degrees, again, number 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, next year, 10, 10, right? Is showing us that this is how we're being prepped. This is how we're being prepped for this future, because the only guidance that is going to help us in these crazy times we're going to enter into with all this masculine energy, Pluto in Aquarius, this Uranus in Gemini, and Saturn, Neptune in Aries, the only way you're going to be able to navigate through all this craziness will be if you have the foundation, the Chiron will be in Taurus. I already showed you. Chiron will be in Taurus, 0 degrees for the new moon in Cancer 2026. So we are being prepped for this. But even there, we will have a lot of inconjunctions. Lilith will be in Capricorn, 3 degrees. So anyway, going back to present moment, and we have plenty of inconjunctions here as well. We are preparing for this future version of ourselves. We are conceiving it. We are seeing it. A lot of that is being decided by the contrast, because Mars brought a lot of emotions out of us. Now, Jupiter being a sign of Cancer is going to bring much more emotions out of us. And we'll have to heal it. We have to heal it. We have to feel it, heal it, and then we will understand ourselves better because am I just reacting, based on something that happened a long time ago and I'm being triggered? Or is this something that is actually, how would I say, like helping to guide me somewhere else? Is there a reaction to the past, or is it a guidance that is navigating me towards something next? So we have to learn to understand our own communication that's inside, and then we can understand other people better because the other people are, in most cases, our mirror, or we project our stuff onto them. So if I don't understand myself, I cannot really understand someone else very well. There's also the square, the Cancer of Libra, like if I understand myself, then I can understand someone else better. And also this other person can then show me, through the mirror, aspects of myself that I don't want to see, you know? So anyway, where were we at? Yeah, the Mercury. Okay, and then we have the square, as I already mentioned. That's very important. The Saturn Neptune, ruled by Mars, currently in the sign of Virgo, ruled by Mercury, currently in the sign of Cancer, but soon to be moving into the sign of Leo, and of course, ruled by the moon. This moon in Cancer, everything is ruled by moon over here. And so we have this square going on, and this, with regards to the static object in the sky, is a closing square. Even though based on time, this is the first square they are having, Sun and Saturn and Sun in Neptune, since their conjunction, which, as I mentioned, both took place in March. But based on the static object in the sky, looking at this chart, we would say this is a closing square, which is a crisis in consciousness. Either way, what is this doing? Is creating pressure. What kind of pressure? For us to step into this new direction. With the 1 degree, become the magician. With the 2, trust yourself. The 2, which is the high priestess, and the Neptune here, and also 2 in astrology, of course, the Taurus. The foundation of the future is you to learn to trust yourself, you to learn to navigate your life based on your inner compass, not the outer feedback. So this is what we seed in, because the last year we were seeding the end. That was the beginning of the end of who you were. And this is the preparation for who you're becoming. But we not yet become that. Obviously, we always becoming, we always growing and evolving, but this new version of yourself that is necessary to become in order to be in alignment with where you're going. This Mars, which is Mars, Neptune, which is the source, which is all that is, right? The totality. Saturn, which is the chronos, the time and space, the physical manifested reality right here, right now, like the trying to Taurus and Virgo, the Taurus, the Gaia, the planet Earth, the Virgo, so we can walk the Earth and have the experience to grow and evolve, which is always changing because the evolution keeps going ahead, right? Saturn, traditional rule of Aquarius. So we have to have the discipline, be invested, want to be here, want that change, want that better for oneself. That's why the Taurus quality is coming up so much here. Venus in a closing phase with Uranus, because we don't want to just survive. We want to have a different experience now because we outgrown that. It doesn't feel good. How many people are happy if they're living from paycheck to paycheck? I can't imagine many. Obviously there are some who think like even this is fantastic, because they remember what it is not to have any paycheck, right? So yeah, so it's all relative, of course it is. But most people that are living that way, especially in the Western world, this is not something that they want to choose for the rest of their life. They want to have abundance. They don't want to have to worry how they're gonna pay rent, how they're gonna eat, how they're gonna feed their children, because we outgrown that way of living. Our ancestors lived that way. Constant fear about survival. Will I have enough to feed my family? We outgrown all of that. And Venus again, number 19, which is Sun card in a tarot, and is the number 10. Again, next year, this is all telling us about next year. This whole chart is literally saying we are seeding the version of you that you will be growing into. So you are aligned with the energies of next year, which is a reset point, which is this everything in a new place. Zero, zero, last lunation, because the one after that is the Aquarius North Node, which eventually will conjunct Pluto in 2027. So we are being prepped. We are being, this whole year is about being prepped, the year number 9, shedding the old, letting go of the old that we graduated from, that we mastered already. Yeah, it made us strong, the 35 degrees, sorry, 35 minutes, the strength, number 8. But now we can do better. We can do something different. We can show up in a different way. We can create a different world. But the guidance has to come from within, because if we are always just reacting to what's going on out there, in other war, in other crisis, in other this, in other that, then we never be in in ourselves. We always just in reaction and response what's going on somewhere else, not what's going on in here. So that's why with this Cancer new moon, Cancer season, and Jupiter in Cancer for the next year until the end of June, literally the 30th of June, 2026. Jupiter is going to help us with this. Not necessarily in a way that's going to be comfortable, because there will be overflood of emotions. Everything's going to come out, but it's necessary because it's about the healing, right? The temperance, the 14 in tarot, right? The temperance, the Sagittarius card, ruled by Jupiter. It needs to be healed so the old story can finally end. It can finally be let go of. The Sagittarius goes into the moon exactly so the old story can end. So we don't have to keep recreating these old identities, these old roles, which we've been playing for such a long time for one another. But we can create a new story. We can create something that is coming from who from your experience, from what you want to create, with the Virgo, the self-mastery, I am competent. I can choose for myself now, with the Saturn in Aries, 1 degree, the magician, becoming the conscious creator of your reality by trusting your inner guidance, your inner high priestess, which is the moon card, of course. So yeah, what else is going on? Of course, the in conjunction, yeah, with the Pluto, you won't know because also Pluto being retrograde is all internal process. We won't know, who am I exactly becoming? Like, oh yeah, I'm happy to let go of this aspect of myself, but what is the guarantee? What am I going to get in return? We're not bartering with universe over here. Universe is not out for bartering. It's like you wanna or you don't wanna. And if you don't wanna, that's fine, but it's not gonna feel great because you already outgrown that costume. It doesn't fit. You outgrown that version of yourself, but if you don't want to change, it's fine. You have a free will, you can do it. But it's just gonna become more and more unbearable because you're gonna keep growing. Your higher self keeps growing from all the experience you have in, and you just don't fit in the same costume. So yeah, but there is no guarantee. There is blind spot. We have this yacht pointing to Pluto. The other one is from Mars. You have to have the experience. You have to go through life. You have to go through the everyday grind that we don't like so much. The Virgo, such a bad rep as well. Virgo, this everyday horrible, making things tidy and organized. Who has time for that? But the purpose is in small things. Virgo, small things, step by step, the miniatures, the details. Yeah, not get lost in details with like me, OCD, but finding the beauty, finding the meaning, finding the satisfaction in the small things, like, oh yeah, my kitchen looks clean, great, or my like yesterday I washed my sheets, so I was like, oh, how nice, sleeping in a freshly washed sheets, right? Like how many people, like when you have a freshly washed sheets and it's like, that's nice, nice. And this is just the mundane every day, but it, gives you that moment of satisfaction. Like, I like this, it's good. So this is the thing, and I'm getting very emotional all of a sudden because this is the human life, this is the human life. We didn't just all come here to, be on the center stage. Like, I mean, yeah, you are in the center stage of your life, but you know what I mean, getting Oscar and stuff. Yeah, it's coming, when we all come back to the spirit world and, there will be like, oh, well done, well done. You did so great, but yeah, it's this every day, this mundane, like, yeah, how can you find the satisfaction in the small things, but don't get lost in the details. because that is that in conjunction, the Mars. Don't get lost in the details. Just enjoy the journey, enjoy the life. And this is also with the year nine, the Hermit, the Virgo, the nine, like to go within and just like, what can I focus on that makes me happy? Okay, everything else can be going down to toilet in my life. But what is that one thing oh yeah, I can enjoy that flower, or I can enjoy that piece of music, or I can enjoy that piece of cake, or whatever it is, that things that, I gave you the Venus, the sensory experience, the little things like, yeah, maybe, I don't care about these things so much anymore, but okay, let's just have a moment of satisfaction from a cone of ice cream or something. So yeah, so the two in conjunction, the two yachts pointing to Pluto and pointing to Mars, and this is from the Saturn Neptune as the, being currently ruled by the Mars, Saturn Neptune in conjunction to Mars, and again another yacht, so we can see these two yachts, right? Two yachts, two yachts. And also Chiron is making an in conjunction to this Lilith. Because Chiron is the key between Saturn and Uranus is just about to change signs, with next lunation. Yeah, next lunation we'll already have Uranus on 0 degrees in Gemini, the what will be full moon in Capricorn. Yeah, already with Uranus on 0 degrees of Gemini. Uranus is moving on 7-7 portal. So yeah, so this is the other in conjunction, right? The Chiron on the Sagittarius decan, Taurus degree. We are creating the foundation for the new story. But, if you don't want to look at the shadow, then we're just going to replicate the same one because that's the unconscious, like this, what was his name? Carl Jung, right? Didn't he say that? Something in a sense that, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will keep ruling your life. It will keep running your life, you know? So that's the thing, even with when we look at the card of the Cancer in the tarot, the number 7, yeah, the Chariot, it's got the two horses. Even the High Priestess got the two pillars, the white and the black, Yeah, polarity, but also the conscious and the unconscious. If you want to master your reality, master your life, master your universe, you have to be conscious of both. You have to make the unconscious into conscious, be aware, right? Because again, being able to change anything, we have to become conscious, becoming aware of it. Because if I don't know that I keep doing this, I'm doing things on automatic, I'm just in reaction all the time. My sympathetic nervous system is activated all the time. Eventually, obviously, we're gonna burn out, we're gonna get sick, with the Mars in Virgo, make sure that your nervous system is, soothed. That's why Cancer and Virgo, they sextile each other because it's say like, okay, you need to nurture yourself, you need to take care of yourself, also with the Taurus, trying to Taurus be grounded because yeah, you can do all these great things, like initiate and create something and be satisfied with this new story you are experiencing, but if you don't take care of yourself, then you're gonna burn out. And that's also part of that grind, like, okay, yeah, I should take care of my diet, or like move, get a good sleep, get fresh air, whatever it is that you need. Everybody's different, everybody needs different things. That's why Virgo is mutable. This means different things to different people, this everyday thing. So yeah, so again, with this in conjunction, we don't know, we don't see, you have to trust, like just trust your journey, your own journey. Don't compare yourself with the Virgo. It's your hero's journey, your human's journey, your everyday life, that creates this beautiful, uh, how would I put it? Your life, which is your legacy. Yeah, that is your legacy. Your life is your legacy. At the end, when you check out of here, from the physical realm, that everything, you experience in this life, that is your legacy. That is your life. That is that story that you're leaving behind, which, then you can come and improve next life. You come and change it or not, maybe you be a guide, spirit guide for someone else, who knows, depending what everything you learned, what you mastered, like a hermit. Can you be the guide for someone else, like this Merlin, right? The magician. So yeah, so we have a lot of these interesting things going on here. What else can we look at? Yeah, the trine, we already talked about it. The trine also from these guys over here, and also from the North Node to Lilith, which is again supporting the healing of the shadow of the humanity, shadow of each of us, the unconscious, making the unconscious conscious, heal it, integrate it, transcend it. Obviously being in a Cancer season, it's all about nurture inner child. Well, also the Leo season will be about inner child, but like the remothering, re-nurturing, reparenting yourself. Obviously, for a lot of people, is the school break, so the kids are at home, so they're gonna trigger the hell out of you. Like bring a lot of shadow up, and it's that opportunity to integrate. Opportunity to heal. Like I know easy for me. I don't have any kids, but I spend time with my nephews from time to time, and yeah, especially these young kids. The Capricorn ones, Pluto Capricorn. Yeah, they know exactly where to poke. So yeah, and then yeah, also here Uranus still in a trine with Pluto. Venus going to come into trine with Pluto when she moves into the sign of Gemini. So this all in all, I mean, is a great chart. I mean, yes, we have some oppositions here, obviously, and also here Pluto Mercury, which, like I said, it was also present. When was it, here or the year before? No, was it the where? Oh yeah, the year ago. Yeah, the previous new moon in Cancer, we had the Mercury Pluto opposition. Now is the same thing. Mercury Pluto oppositions over here. Mercury is not yet in Leo by the time of this new moon. It's gonna happen a few days after Thursday. Yeah, actually the following day for some of us on Friday. So yeah, opposition, the opponent, but opposition is about balancing, like, yeah, you can look at it like, oh, there's someone out there, that's screwing my life, the opponent. But no, opposition is more about what do I need to balance? What do I need to balance? Mercury in Cancer, this is the new Mercury after all this Aries, Pisces, Aries thing, triple conjunction to North Node, triple conjunction to Neptune, and all the rest of it. Now, Mercury being the Cancer, it's saying the new program, the new software, it's going to come from inside, okay? And then with the opposition to Pluto, which will become exact when Mercury moves into sign of Leo, right? That's the end of the week, Sunday, exactly, 29th, the day of my dad's birthday. So yeah, so Mercury opposing to Pluto, already at the time of the new moon, but fully on the 29th. This is the balancing of like, okay, how do I balance this new way of being, the new version of myself that has to be attuned, that has to be tapped in, tuned in, and be guided by different things that just have a logical mind, even though that still has a place, but like the higher mind will be more important in the upcoming times. And Pluto retrograde in Aquarius, number 3, co-creation with the spirit, again, number 3. Pluto in Aquarius, breaking the old patterns, Uranus in Taurus, 29 degrees. Yeah, with the Venus closing, because the old foundation will not hold for much longer. I mean, especially with Saturn moves into Taurus. That's the building of the new foundation. Now we are seeding the new foundation. We are realizing, with Mars always, obviously Mars is moving about every 2 months, unless it's retrograde. But yeah, still moves a lot considering. So Mars is going to go through the whole zodiac 1.5 time, right? Like Mars got a 2-year cycle, not quite 1.5 time, maybe 1 time and a some before Saturn is done with Aries. And obviously Neptune is gonna be in Aries until what was it, 38? I think 38, right? 2038. So Mars is gonna be the ruler, for this whole time. And Mars is how Pluto acts consciously. And Mars currently is making the in conjunction to Pluto. You have to trust. You have to trust your own journey. Don't compare yourself. Don't criticize and judge yourself for being behind. Or what does that mean actually? Being behind. Behind who? Don't do that because you are on your own path. You're here to create your own foundation that you are the creator of. It's no longer about somebody else is doing this to me. Like I have no choice. I'm the victim. This was the Piscean age. Be out of that. And now Saturn, yeah, going back to Pisces for 6 more months from September. But that's it. After that, Saturn will not be in Pisces for another, 28 years, right? So, yeah, no excuse. By the time Saturn goes back into Aries, Pluto will be already in the sign of Pisces. So, yeah. So anyway, guys, I mean, I don't know what else to say about these things. Obviously, you can go into million different interpretation of million different things. Obviously also here, Mercury, coming into the trine with these two guys. The full trine exact is going to be happening. Obviously, the Saturday. Yes, Saturday is going to be the exact trine. And yeah, this is the creation, right? The Leo, Aries to Leo. We are creating this new direction, being the fool, stepping into the unknown, with the Chiron making the inconjunction, making the unconscious conscious, so you can make a different choice. Turning the wound into the gift, because it's the key to your elevation, in a sense, right? Your wounds, because they are not your wounds. It's just something that you as a spirit came to embody, to learn, to help to heal yourself and the collective. And then you can go to the next level, the next stage of the game, and that's where we all go in. As a humanity with Neptune, Saturn, Neptune in Aries, we are going to the next stage of the game. So that's why we have to rewire the software, and we have to apply a new one, and we have to create a new foundation, because it needs to hold the tree to grow, to bear fruit. So yeah, so that's what's going on here, with this new moon, which is the preparation for the next year. Restructuring, the number 4, creating the structure and the foundation for the future you. So you see it in what you choosing that to be. You are deciding yourself. And you have all these 29 degree, 1 degree, all these early degrees to help you to decide. And the Chiron on the 26, the strength. And 37, the 10. 26, the strength, 2 and 6. All right, I'm going to leave it at that 11:56, which is also 11:11. That's a good time to stop. So I hope that this offered some value, I hope that it resonated. It didn't, that's fine, because obviously this is just my perception of reality. Doesn't mean it's going to be everybody's, but this is how I am tuning into this new moon in Cancer, and obviously being moon in Cancer myself. And as I mentioned, I'm going to have a lunar return a few hours after the new moon. I am going through this myself, so maybe I'm just projecting my own experience, but I'm sure there are many other people who are going through the same process. So if this resonates, I hope you enjoyed it. And if you would like to hear further guidance from the cards, that's going to be the part 2, which I'm going to hop onto my phone and record next. And with that, I wish you all a wonderful week ahead, wonderful Cancer season, wonderful new moon in Cancer, and I'll speak to you again next week. Much love, everyone, and bye for now.